Peace and all good everyone. First, I would like to greet everyone at St. Francis College-Guihulngan, a blessed and happy 58th foundation anniversary. I was given this opportunity to share to you a little of what I perhaps know with regard to the present challenges that we are now facing in relation to our Mother Earth. And I was given this theme to talk about a jubilee of hope for the earth, regenerating Franciscan spirit in renewing, repairing, and restoring our common home in this season of creation. Ayan, I think the theme speaks well of what we are now facing in relation to our environmental problem. And since this is an educational institution, I would, and you want me to speak about our common home, I would like to refer you back to this manifesto. I call this manifesto, but this is actually an encyclical, no? The encyclical of Pope Francis on the care of for our common home. And this is, perhaps you know this already, the title of this encyclical is Laudato Si. And in the last chapter of Laudato Si, chapter 6, the title of the chapter goes like this: Ecological Education and Spirituality. And within this chapter, we can find a sub-topic on the invitation, no, towards ecological conversion. What does that mean? That we need to change our lifestyle. Why? Because, perhaps you know it already, or maybe not, that on October 8th of 2018, there is this kind of result of the IPCC. IPCC stands for Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. What does this mean? This is the body of the UN that tries to monitor whether our environmental problem is getting worse, or if it is at least being lessened or whatsoever, if we are finding solutions or if we are not finding solutions. And in that recent result of the study of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, to sum it up, what the IPCC is trying to tell us is that we are only left with 9 to 12 years, technically a decade. A decade for what? Before we reach the so-called tipping point. What do we mean by tipping point? You know, when these conferences of parties in Paris, in France, gathered together somewhere in 2015, in November to December of 2015, those who attended the conferences of parties somehow made a resolution that we are going to do our best to not to allow the global climate temperature to exceed the 1.5 degrees Celsius, because once we exceed this, we would hardly have the chance to return. It will radically change the face of our planet. You remember Yolanda. Yolanda is only 0.8, and it gave us the super typhoon with 315 kilometers per hour. And that's quite strong and fast. And you know what I mean, that if we exceed this 1.5, 0.8 plus 0.8, that's 1.6. Meaning if we double the heat temperature of the planet, the time when Yolanda came, that means that even the super typhoons will double its strength and speed. And that's quite very, very dangerous for all of us. And that's why Laudato Si keeps on challenging us. No? This encyclical of Pope Francis towards a change of lifestyle. I think people are asking, what are we going to do? What are the things we need that are need to be done, etc. What are the challenges? There are lots of challenges, but even if we know all these challenges, we know all these things about restoration, etc., etc., restoring our common home, but if we do not begin, if we do not act, then nothing will happen. That's why, one of my realization is that now the problem is getting bigger and bigger, and my responses becomes maybe not smaller and smaller, but I would rather say more concrete. I would save energy in as much as I could. I would trim down my carbon emission consumption, or my carbon consumption, and eventually the emission would also be lessened. All this stuff. I would conserve water. I would never waste food. These are simple things, little things that invites us towards ecological conversion, a change of lifestyle. It has to begin with ourselves. So I think this is what should also challenge us, as being members of the family of St. Francis College-Guihulngan, that we reclaim this Franciscan values. This Laudato Si is referring to St. Francis, our patron, our seraphic father, and it keeps on challenging us to emulate the values that St. Francis left for us, or that St. Francis has shown us all, and that deep connection with the environment, that care for our common home. It's very important, because unless we begin with the self, nothing will happen. But of course, we do not need to stop with only with these things that we can do within our reach. There are bigger things that must be done. Laudato Si is challenging us. Actually, that the problem now is so big that it can never be resolved by a unilateral response from a country or so, but it needs a global connection. It needs that all of us would be working all together in all aspects of our lives. But again, we need to begin with ourselves, and I think that's the first challenge. And for example, in the context of our country, we have many laws already. We have the Ecological Solid Waste Management, Republic Act 9003. But people, if they do not, most people do not know it. And if they know it, they are not doing anything about it. We have the Clean Air Act of 1999, and who among us would have our cars and vehicles tested for carbon emission? I mean, we have this set of laws, beautiful laws, that should be protecting our environment, but we are not doing something. And much more, we need to engage also in radical, so to say, radical advocacies. We know the evil of mining. We know the evil of coal plants, for example, are being phased out in other countries. And here, we have a good number of them operating around. All this stuff. And I think beginning with the self, and perhaps you as an educational institution could work collaboratively all together to begin this ecological conversion. We need to do something now. No, we could not wait for tomorrow, because technically we only have a decade to somehow address the problem, because after this decade, it would be very, very difficult for all of us to address the problem of with regard to our environment, with regard to our mother planet. Again, if you are asking for challenges, there are too many challenges, and sometimes we get paralyzed, because of the huge problem that we are now facing. But it's not hopeless. Laudato Si, Pope Francis is over and again telling us that we are capable of the worst, but we are also capable of renewing ourselves, of changing of entering into ecological conversion. And here in this chapter on ecological education and spirituality, Pope Francis is telling us that many things have to change course, but it is we human beings above all who need to change. So it's a change of lifestyle, it's a change of the self, it's a change, internal ecological conversion that would be rejected with all the things around us. Because we do not have any other planet, we do not have other home but this one. So my dear family at St. Francis College-Guihulngan, again, especially you, because you belong to this educational institution, let us begin. Let us begin. And you need to begin being educators, being in the academy, being a cultural former. The challenge is greater on your part, because our problem is partly cultural, and we can only address this by changing the culture of indifference, the culture of complacency, the culture of consumerism, the throwaway culture. We need to change this. And you being educators, you have greater responsibility, because as I said, you are part of the culture formers, or you are cultural formers of our land, of the world. So please, in the spirit of the season of creation, let us enter seriously into this ecological conversion. We would not separate our education from our spirituality, and our ecological spirituality as Franciscans, or as people working in the Franciscan institutions, is very, very much needed, especially this time. Again, I am greeting you all. Happy 58th anniversary of the foundation of your institution, of St. Francis College of Guihulngan, and peace and all good, everyone.